Welcome back to Countdown to Green on TNT. Carl Edwards, driver of the 99, has been recognized nationally for his fitness, not on a magazine cover this time, by the First Lady, Michelle Obama, who has named Edwards as one of the members of the President's Council on Fitness, Sports, and Nutrition. A huge honor, the mission to raise awareness of healthy lifestyles for kids. Edwards starts 21st today. That should factor into the decision when you play the $1 Million Fan Challenge. Go to NASCAR.com. Don't miss this opportunity. Set your top 10 finishers in today's race. You can even change your lineup during the race up to lap 75, a chance for you to win a cool $1 million. Track position is so key here at Loudon, and so is your stall selection along pit road. That's where we check in with our expert reporters. For more on Juan Pablo Montoya, as well as the pit stalls he'll be covering, we're joined by Matt Yoakum. Hi, Matt.
Hey, Lindsay, and Juan Pablo should be fast today, but Jeff Gordon should be just as fast. Now, keep an eye on Gordon, because instead of incoming paybacks that he's keeping an eye on, he's looking for bonus points, looking for a win, something he hasn't done here at New Hampshire since 1998, something he hasn't done on the circuit in over a year and a half. His car's solid in practice, and he shuffled around in the points last week, moved up 2 spots to 5th. 24 should be pretty strong here today at New Hampshire. Phil Parsons?
Matt, the hottest guy on the circuit right now is Casey Kane, driver of this number 9 Budweiser car. He has the best average finish over the last 2 weeks. I talked to his crew chief, Kenny Francis, this morning. He said track position is key here. We have it now. We're on the outside of the front row, but we have to keep it. We may do some 2 tire stops later in the race, and we will talk to Casey Kane a little bit later in the pre-race show. Now to Ralph Shaheen.
Phil, you know, Kurt Busch has 3 wins here. In fact, he swept both races here in 2004. But today, he's going to run a setup underneath the number 2 that he has never used here before, nor has crew chief Steve Addington. So they're a little concerned about exactly what they're going to get when the green flag falls here in a little while, Marty.
Well, Ralph, one of the cars I'll be watching on pit road today will be Jimmy Johnson. That will be very tempting for the 48 team to come here and completely experiment with chassis setup. After all, this will be the first race in the 2010 chase. Talked to Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus about that, and they told me it's more of a hybrid setup. 50% experimental, 50% going with what they know will work. And guess what? That hybrid setup has worked for this race team. Jimmy, one of the fastest cars in yesterday's practice, and coming up in a little bit, we'll talk to Jimmy Johnson and find out exactly how fast this 48 is. Lindsay?
Thanks, Marty. Denny Hamlin, driver of the 11 FedEx Toyota, has become very familiar with victory lane. He was the runner-up at this race last fall, and this season leads all drivers with 5 wins, all in the last 11 races.
I don't believe it. You thought we were going to win. We won.
Denny Hamlin has won the Texas Motor Speedway.
Texas, baby.
Denny Hamlin able to tame this grand old racetrack here tonight.
Awesome job. Checker flag. Caution's out. Come get the checker.
Career win number 12 for Hamlin comes in his 4th at Pocono. And the domination continues today. Win number 5 for Denny Hamlin.
All we do is win, baby.
Denny Hamlin joins us now. You've been on such a roll. I know you struggled last week. You ended up finishing 34th, but things got so bad at one point, the hood was up against your windshield. How hard is that to drive when that's the case?
Pretty tough. You really got to rely on on memory, track memory, and that's all I could really do. I had, a very, very small, bit of hole right at the very bottom that I could see a little bit, but as soon as we had elevation changes, I really couldn't see anything.
You know, Denny, you told me a few weeks ago, to me, one of the most heartwarming motivational stories I think that I've been told. You know, you've been on the circuit for a while. You've won your 1 or 2 races a year. You've made the chase every year. But at Pocono last August, something happened to your life, and you found out something about you and your race car that day.
Yeah, I mean, you never know what you've got left in the tank until your back's up against the wall and you've been put in a bad spot. And with the death of my grandmother that Friday before that weekend, she was my biggest fan, and for me to, I just felt like I had to win that weekend. I had to win no matter what. And I think we restarted 19th with like 19 to go, and just somehow managed to get a race win. So it's when you find that little bit extra speed and gut within you, I think I found out from that point on that there's something deep down inside I can dig and get out.
Hey, last year, and we talked about it on the radio show on PRN, you guys came on strong the last 10 races. Y'all had a shot at beating that 48. You started out this year, in the first 6 or 7 races, you guys were there, but you weren't there. And I'm going to have to eat a little crow because you went in and you had knee surgery. And I said, Denny's not beating him with 2 legs. What makes you think he's going to beat him with 1 leg? You have kicked their butt in a 1-legged butt kicking competietition right now. I mean, what happened? What happened? Sorry, that's a Southern saying.
Spoken like Kyle Petty. I love it.
But that's a Southern saying. So how, you know, what has that done? I mean, has that motivation or that surgery give you that little bit more motivation?
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, we always, whenever anything negative in the media is put out about us or anything like that, we'll poster it. We'll put it in the hauler and use it as motivation. You know, we usually use the beginning of the year predictions when it's you know, who will miss it, and you know, our names mentioned in. You're gonna miss it, gonna miss it, gonna miss it. We post it right up, and we use it as motivation. And the knee stuff is no different. You know, I really relied on my team to pick me up over those last over the few weeks right afterwards. And since then, our team's just been on fire.
You know, Denny, you have 2 teammates, and certainly Joey Logano's in his sophomore season, and we know that he's going to be up there winning races and bidding for championship in the future. I've got to believe one reason Joe Gibbs hired Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin is the desire to win. I know you guys had the on-track incident in the All-Star race, a race that pays no points, a race that doesn't make a difference in the grand scheme of things. You guys actually help each other and you drive each other, though, it appears to me.
You know, it's no different than the 24 and the 48. When you have a competitor like Kyle and myself on the same team, and Joey, by the way, is going to be up front very, very soon. It's motivation. We knew right from the very first test when he was still with Hendrick Motorsports and they let him come over and test Atlanta with the Gibbs cars. We had our first COT test in Atlanta. He got in the race car top of the chart. I was top of the chart until he got there. He showed up fastest. I went back out and I topped over that. So we kept going back and forth, and that's what it takes to keep the fire in your stomach.
Have you guys ever gone back and readdressed that situation, or is it pretty much done and smooth?
No, it is done. I mean, we debriefed for a good hour yesterday just talking about our race cars, and you know, he enticed me to change everything on my race car. So we'll see how it turns out.
Before we let you go,
there may be a method to his madness.
Yeah.
Before we let you go, you had an opportunity to do a very special event, help a lot of people up in Boston. What was that about?
Yeah, it was a special thing. I've got to do a lot of different things, charitable things with FedEx, but this one in particular, Boston, Massachusetts, we know has had some floods over the last year or so. So we donated a disaster relief vehicle just in case something like that ever does happen again. It'll provide food and water for those who need it.
All right, Denny Hamlin, thank you so much. Good luck with those changes that Kyle Busch told you about. Have a good race today. Well, the fans are filing in here to New Hampshire Motor Speedway. This is certainly going to be a much widely watched race here today at this track where they have been racing, as we told you, since 1990. More action when we return.
You're watching Countdown to Green on TNT.
We really went through a lot of things that weren't going our way that whole day. Ended up cutting down a left rear tire, spun out trying to get the pit road to left rear tire flat. That drew to caution. You know, they'll make our pit stop, and that's what really put us on a different strategy than everybody else. Towards the end of the race was just trying to run consistent laps. He's saying the rain's coming. I only had a few more laps in the tank.
Save fuel for me. You got to save fuel. We're good for about 3 to 5 laps under green, so we go quite a few, okay? Just save fuel. Roll out, shut it off, shut all your fans off.
I never want to race by, you know, rain shortened or anything like that, but I'll take it.
Mother Nature helped, but crew chief Greg Zipadelli had a lot to do with Joey Logano's win last year. Now we move to a legendary crew chief who won more championships than any other. Dale Inman was instrumental to Richard Petty's success as one of the greatest drivers of all time. He is Petty's cousin and stood beside him in victory lane for all but 2 of his 200 career wins. Wally Dallenbach tells the story of one of the best leaders this sport has ever seen.
Where the A-frame is, this is where it really all started for you guys.
Yeah, the A-roof right here, it was built, and it wasn't built for in the garage. It was kind